Those who fail to plan to fail. You've heard that before, right? Well, the reason I repeat it, simply, it's just a very, very important part of life and of business. If you intend to start a business, you need to consider such things as, do you have a building, the equipment, the fixtures, the right people, the cash necessary, etc., to sustain that business? Have you secured the suppliers of raw materials, the packaging, the products, the insurance, and the other goods and services that you will need? I'm Randy Kirk at Small Business Daily, and today we will give you a succinct list of the basic logistical considerations for your business plan. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you about a free business plan template that covers everything you could possibly care about. Tolstoy famously said that in war, the most deeply considered plans have no significance. That was because Tolstoy posited that once the battle begins, the plans are all thrown out in the heat of battle. And yet Tolstoy's War and Peace was possibly one of the most planned novels of all times. You see, the fact that stuff happens that cannot be foreseen in no way suggests we shouldn't do our best to plan. I've had the true pleasure of consulting with 400 businesses, and the vast majority have been run by the seat of the owner's pants. It can work, but as with so many things, it can work to a point, and generally that point does not include a decent income, decent working hours, or decent amounts of vacation, all of which you might consider to be incredibly important. Well, the time has come to get serious about laying out the details of your plan. And let's be honest, the number one thing you need to consider is money. In 1981, my partner and I were offered what we consider to be the opportunity of a lifetime. We were selling a bicycle product called Mr. Tuffy. My partner was a manufacturer's rep, and I was his customer. I was a wholesaler selling to bike shops. The manufacturer of Mr. Tuffy wasn't able to ramp up production. We offered to buy the company and pay them a royalty for the patent and the brand. Well, the owner shocked us by agreeing to the idea. They laid out an offer. First, we had to look at the startup cost. We had to figure out how much money it was going to take to start this business. For you, if Excel or Google Sheets is not already your best friend, I'd suggest you spend 5 to 10 hours learning how to use one or the other. You need that kind of computational power to be able to project your cash needs over time. We simplified the issue by deciding we would be a virtual business. My wholesale business would be the warehouse. They would pack it, ship it, and receive. His rep company would sell the product, invoice, pay the suppliers, and collect the cash. But you won't normally have that luxury. Therefore, if you're going to be a manufacturer, you'll need to know how much money you'll need for rent, for the build out of the office and manufacturing space, to purchase and install equipment, the fixtures and equipment for shipping and receiving, for storing, for shipping the raw materials and finished goods. You'll need communication infrastructure for phones, computers, and the internet. You'll need the initial raw material purchases and also for the tools and dies and molds. Each type of business will have its own list. I've started at least 10 businesses in the last 10 years that required nothing other than my laptop, car, and phone. All 10 of those have produced ongoing incomes, one of them well into 6 figures. The key is to be thorough and realistic about what is needed and how much it will cost. So your first job is to make a list of the startup expenses needed to open the doors. This list might include permits, licenses, incorporation fees, but it should not include any salaries unless there would be paid staff prior to starting the business. Now, next you do the running costs, projected out for 1 to 5 years. Open your spreadsheet program and across the top, list the next 12 months and then a total. Going down the left side will be your monthly expectations regarding income and expenses. This should be set up exactly the same way as you would set up your income statement, like a profit and loss statement. If you're launching a new product, a new division, or pursuing a new distribution channel, the categories you use and the numbers you plug in would recognize it's only part of the total business. You might allocate a portion of the rent, a portion of the administrative overhead, but all of the salary expenses of an individual or team that will be responsible for that new direction. Now, fill out the spreadsheet for 1 year. Obviously, revenue will be a guess. It needs to be your best guess. Some expenses might be a variable or a percentage of sales. Show them as such. Some expenses will only hit the spreadsheet at certain sales levels. You might not need a sales and marketing manager for the new division until you hit $25,000 per month in sales. Once you've filled out your best guess, take a look at the basic losses that you're showing. You will need to cover those losses with cash. This is not the only cash you'll need for running expenses, but we'll come to that in a minute. Now, copy your spreadsheet and go back through and indicate your worst case scenario. This will be a very important exercise. You might like to use the spreadsheet for testing various possibilities. You want everything on the spreadsheet to be formula-based so that you can increase or decrease any given line, and then it affects all the totals. You might want to do a cash flow analysis. You want to analyze the actual cash needed to fund your losses. Even if you think you'll be profitable from day one, and you won't, there will be cash flow issues that will likely result in a need for upfront cash. Let's take one of the worst case examples. Maybe you're going to be an importer. You'll need the cash for molds, packaging design, packaging tools, and any other make-ready months ahead of receiving the product. Now it is likely that the manufacturer exporter will want money up front for production. Again, this money is going out at least a month and maybe several months before you get the inventory. Eventually, you'll pay for freight, drayage, import duties, and freight from the dock to your warehouse. You finally receive the merchandise and you have orders to ship. You might be shipping to customers who have terms with you. It could be 30 to 90 days before you receive the money, depending on those terms and the customer's payable strategy. Some pay late on purpose. While you're waiting for that money, you may have to order your next shipment with more cash out of your pocket. You may be paying employees and other overhead items. Now, the opposite of that worst case scenario might be true. Maybe you're making products on a 3D printer in your garage. You're selling them on Amazon as a seller. You get paid every 2 weeks, and your only out-of-pocket expense is for the raw materials to put into your 3D printer. So your total running costs might be under $100. If you would like to have a cash flow template in Google Sheets, send me your email and I'll share that with you. You can modify it to show how much cash you will need each month to cover your ongoing expenses. Now, next, you'll want to list your suppliers. Years back, I opened a used car rental business. There were only 2 insurance companies insuring used cars for rental businesses. Eventually, one of those went out of business. The other company was now a monopoly, and they made it impossible to do business profitably. I ended up having to close my doors. So I claim that suppliers are more important than customers. You must line up your critical suppliers before you open the doors. Who will supply the raw materials, the finished goods, the packaging, the software, the bookkeeping, the insurance, the banking equipment, and the fixtures? Next, you want to list the employees that you want to have when you start the business. Will you need some people on opening day or during the first month or the first 6 months? In July 2021, the market is so tight for good people that finding critical people could delay your opening. Even when unemployment is high, finding the right candidate is a difficult job. Let's consider next your location. For many entrepreneurs today, the location is your home. It's certainly for me. For the rest, selection of a location is a huge decision. In some cases, you're paying for visibility, and your criteria should probably be for eyeballs per dollar of rent. But at times, it may also have to do with proximity to where the customer will be. It is now common to locate near the competition for that reason. The competition would be bringing customers into your area. Those who don't care about traffic might merely be looking for the lowest rent that provides the necessary requirements like dock high overheads or electrical at certain levels, bandwidth required, office space, and so on. Another big issue is the time on the lease. Short leases allow for more flexibility if the company outgrows the space, but they also allow the landlord to up the rates on renewal or even move you out at the end of the lease. This happened to us after 18 years in one location, and we were forced to move a 25,000 square foot manufacturing facility. Not a good thing. Now there will be move-in costs. This could include first and last month's rent, cleaning fees, sometimes more depending on your credit rating. What about your customers, your competition, and marketing? You will want to carefully draw up a list of possible customers by business category, potentially by territory, and then give each prospect some grade as to the likelihood of converting them to customers. It will be best if you have actual names, but sometimes it might merely be Amazon, Etsy, and eBay. Then who is your competition? And what is your unique selling proposition that will allow you to get market share that they might currently possess? They're not going to give it up easily. What marketing methods will you deploy to generate business? Make a list along with a monthly plan for the deployment of your marketing. Any marketing costs need to be shown on your projected profit and loss spreadsheet. It's part of the deal. Now, what about a formal plan? You will now want to write up all of your known and unknown pieces of the above into a formal plan. If your company is small and not too complex, you might be able to put that plan on a single sheet of paper. If the company is more complex, you might want to use the business plan put out by SCORE. I will give you a link in the description. So now you've got the basics. Now we're going to want to go into thinking about that opening day. This is Randy Kirk with Small Business Daily. We'll see you next time.